Right, Council's September performance report for CEO. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't take too long, and we'll pass on to the team to take you through page by page, but just in terms of the highlights there, obviously a highlight is that we've got Councillor Stewart back around the table. So that was a by-election, which is obviously always a process that we have to run, which takes some time and effort. On good news front, got there that we won quite a good award, a Best Community Event of the Year award for the Pukawa Waitangi Festival, which is a great achievement for the team, along with our partners in that event. And then talking about events, just to note there that we're obviously kicking into our event season now. We've really started off with that with a few major events, including the McCartney tournament, which you'll see pumped about $1.3 million into our economy. And heading over the summer period, starting with fireworks, I think it is, hopefully if the weather holds, this Friday night. If not, it will be Saturday. And then right throughout the summer, we're back to back every weekend, I think, with something big in town. So we're starting our busy period. On the negative side, we've had quite a bit of vandalism lately, particularly around road signs, which is a bit disappointing, and a few wastewater spills, unfortunately, which are still largely due to people flushing things that they shouldn't be otherwise flushing. So it's disappointing, unfortunately unavoidable from our perspective, but is a major issue for the community. So unless there's any questions on that, I guess I'll just get the team to run us through page by page, starting with Alan.
Yeah. Sorry, by-election, and congratulations again, Councillor. Did we have any final costs in for that?
It's about 20...
Yes.
Roughly about that, eh?
Is it possible just to circulate when that invoice comes in, just so we all understand what it was? Yeah, cheers. Thank you. All right, Callum, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The good news is you're up to page 152 already. But added to that, as far as the monthly Treasury Management Report is concerned, you can see that our investment income is well ahead of plan, both on the general fund, where we've had a return of 3.35% versus budget of 2.98, and the TEL fund, where we've got a return of 5.76% versus 3.75 budget. So with the OCR still at 1.75, it continues to be a challenge, and that major effects coming through in that our level of bank deposits is higher than as per the policy as far as exposure in that area, but when there's no corporate paper around to invest into, we don't have a lot of choice. But the position in total is quite positive for this particular time of the year. So we move on to the financial performance of Council at the end of September. As I said last month, we were $1 million ahead, and if we continue that way till the end of the year, I think we will come out looking pretty good. At the end of September, we're still $1 million ahead of plan. It's not poor planning, it's just higher levels of revenue in the areas of fees and charges and investment income. The investment income I've already talked to. The debt book, we have net borrowings at the moment of 28 million because of the high level of cash, and the only major change from last month is that as far as the capital budget is concerned, we've included the bow wave from the previous year, which was 8.6 million, which shows the full year budget now at 32.1 million. We have got a lot of expenditure still to occur to achieve that particular budget for the year. But before I pass on to the rest of my colleagues, is there any questions on those?
Thanks, Alan. Any questions about? No. All good news. 1 month you're going to get 1 month we're going to get some difficult questions, I know, but I haven't seen it yet.
Sorry?
One month you're going to get some difficult questions, but I haven't seen it yet.
Well, if we keep giving positive messages, hopefully the questions won't be too difficult.
Well, you can't argue with the figures, can you?
No.
So, well done. Thank you.
Well, I did
Councillor Borden?
asking just more about why the figures were different, and it's that our way.
Yeah.
That's answering a couple of things, so you're interested.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fox.
Mr Fox, Your Worship. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fox.
Community Services, Your Worship, that covers some of Alan's area as well as mine, but as you can see on page 161, all the community services delivery measures are currently on track.
161, councillors, you got that?
And also in terms of 160. One thing I will talk about is the election result in respect of the review of emergency management and civil defence. That clearly might have an impact in terms of that technical review of the sector. We haven't seen those results yet, and I'm sure Councillor Park will also support. We haven't seen any results of that particular review.
What happens with that committee? Do they carry on?
Well, I just don't know, Your Worship. I think I don't know if the review's actually been presented fully yet. Yeah, so new Minister, Minister Farfoy, so we'll no doubt hear from him in due course. So really business as usual for our areas in terms of the community area and civil defence, team working closely together in some upcoming neighbourhood support events. And I think, Tina, from memory, there's an evacuation of one of the neighbourhoods coming up that's planned as part of an exercise. So really just business as usual in those two places.
Lovely. Any questions of Mr. Fox?
Oh, Your Worship.
Councillor Williamson.
Just with regard to dog registrations, I mean, obviously, are they paying 80,000 ahead of the plans? They're paying well in advance. They've got a hell of a lot more dogs in Taupo.
I wish I could answer your question on dog registrations, Councillor, but I can't, unfortunately.
Through the Chair, the level of registration of dogs this year has been 99.6%. So we did struck 99 last year, which was outstanding, and the figures I got today show 99.6.
Thank you.
Is that 99.6 of previous?
Known dogs.
Known dogs.
But just a comment to make in that area, I think the whole online system that we've moved to for the dog registration notification is awesome, and I think that's probably helped assist with that level.
Okay, any other questions of Mr. Fox? Community services? No? Thanks, Brian. Okay, who's next? Kevin.
Afternoon all. So just the water in particular. So before I get into each of the activities, just a general comment. This is to the end of September. So July, August and September is a time where we do a lot of design and putting things out to tender. So you'll see that the CapEx lines are pretty low at the moment, but we're getting into construction periods now. The biggest one on the water is obviously Waitanui. We had a start-up meeting last week, and they'll be starting on the 13th of November construction, and that's a big part of the CapEx spend in the water area in particular.
Marper Road, so that's still...
Marper Road there, just click on the page. So that'll be coming back to council in December.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Still in process, okay.
Yep, still in process.
Cool.
And the other red mark there is Motuapa. Sorry.
Councillor Hickman.
So, through you, Mr Chair, there won't be too much interruptions through the holiday period with Waitanui, would there? I'm just wondering, pipes and earthworks and holiday period.
Yeah, so we don't envisage them working through that holiday period, but we'll sit down with them and go through when they're actually going to be doing the work. But obviously that is a consideration because it is a busy time.
Yeah. Okay.
So the only other red on water is Motuapa Reservoir, and that's just red because we're over time on that one. But design's been done and they've been made. They just need to be installed, the reservoirs. Transportation. And again, I'll just reiterate that the bulk of renewals usually commence from next month through to March, reseals and rehabs, so that's why there's very little blue there on the capital expenditure to date. and happy to take any other questions on transport, because the majority of the rest is all green.
Chairman, could I just ask a question in regards to the seal extension? Figure in my mind was 400,000 a year. Is that addition to finish off Tahara Road, is it?
Tahara, so
I think, isn't that reseals?
Yeah, the reseals.
Oh, no, I mean,
through the chair,
I'm getting mixed up.
it's a seal extension.
I think it's still extension.
It is,
not-
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
What is the figure a year?
I didn't want to interrupt, sorry.
400,000.
400, yeah, 400, yeah. So the shared, this Rainbow Point thing, Whariwaka to Rainbow Point, where's that at? Yeah?
We're going to ask Mr. Lewis to give me an update on that one, if he's all right, thanks.
Yeah. Hi Dennis, so just the Whariwaka footpath, is it?
This currently, we've developed a new tender document. We expect that to be out there shortly.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Just through the chair, just with the bus bay on Waikato Street, does the Ministry of Education contribute to that project as well?
Mr. Lewis, I don't know the answer to that, sorry.
No, we have, the team have been in discussion with Taupo, and it would appear that it's council cost.
Right.
What was it now? Sorry, bus shelter.
A bus bay for down the back of Taupo College on Waikato Street, your old ward.
Okay. Right, okay.
Community facilities, so Kevin and I share this, but I'll talk to it. So we had a good walk around with a good turnout to have a walk around our venues 3 weeks ago, something like that. Just to give you a bit of a feel for how these venues operate when you're coming into the long-term plan process. And I guess in answer to a little bit of an answer, if you look around the performance measures in terms of library books, Councillor Park, you'll see that there's quite a big reduction in the number of issues in books over the years. So that's sort of telling you a little bit, as we discussed when we walked around, the real change and focus more to, I guess, IT and the like, access to the internet and just hanging out in a dry area, as opposed to issuing books. But it's still an important part of the business. I guess and the Autumn-Heki stream is
Going out to tender soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so this includes the AC bars and
Yes.
the 5.1?
Yes.
So you're running at 5.1 for the year, favourable up 300,000?
Yes. Yes. Oh, in revenue, you mean? Yeah. So that's a mixture of,
Yeah,
There's
so
a
this
number
mainly
of
coming from the 300k increase. Where's that mainly coming from?
So there's a variety of sources for that. So that'll be, that's fees and charges through the door.
So if you look at the little
so it's all
graph
written on the right-hand side.
on the right-hand side, so 111,000 is due to WRC, Waikato Regional Council subsidies for erosion control.
Yeah.
So there's the 60-40 split that we have, and then you'll see the other revenue.
That's right. Okay. It's really hard to hear from here, David. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. Okay. Any questions of John and Kevin? Transport and community facilities.
Just one question from me through the chair. Could you give us an update on where we are at with improvements to the Kinloch Reserve? Please.
Good question.
So it's out for tender.
It's a tender.
It's out for tender as we speak. So when those tender documents come in, we'll be assessing it there in terms of timing. Again, bearing in mind, someone took the question for the Christmas break, not wanting construction to be over that period.
I do understand there was some consultation with some of the neighbours
Yes.
onto the reserve and to the Kinloch Working Group as well. Has that happened?
Yes.
Okay,
So that
so-
happened. The Deputy Mayor assisted us in that process. And whilst it's fair to say there wasn't unanimous support for the plans, you would have heard when you heard the submissions there never was going to be. But so the plan as you have seen is what we're taking up for costing.
Thank you.
Okay. It'd be good to see that to come to fruition.
Page
All right.
172 now, which is wastewater. You'll see the revenues up. We've had increased haylage sales. The expenses are up predominantly because we're doing a lot of jetting and cleaning of fat to try and avoid the things that happen in Pātaka Road in that area.
Sorry, what page are we on, Keith?
172. 172. We're on 173 now.
Basically,
And Pukawa is out to tender at the moment, and it'll be coming back to the November meeting.
So I guess out of all of these, you'll see there's a lot of work, as Kevin said before, which is currently in the tender phase. So you'd imagine probably the next meeting and the one after that, you'll be approving a lot of contracts, ones that are over my delegation.
Okay, page 174, comments to have on that one. Oh, that's Kinloch, so we've nearly finalised the stormwater mitigation design, so we're in that design phase for that one. We'll move forward after that on the other designs, but first of all, we need to make sure that whatever we were going to design, the water wouldn't get into it. So, and the solid waste and the stormwater is business as usual, but happy to take any questions.
Councillor Hackling.
So the upgrade of the Kinloch wastewater, we're still going to dispose the effluent on the golf course?
I'm unsure of that one, sorry. I haven't entered up to date with that one. Yes.
Thank you. And is that the project on page 174?
174.
The second one down. Is that the project?
Yes, it is.
It is. Yes, just catching up with you, sorry.
How far away is that, Dennis?
So,
Sorry.
when do you think that will take place, Dennis?
Sorry.
I get these questions asked me when I'm
When you're playing.
when I'm out and about with a little white ball, that's all.
The project's underway at the moment, and it's a combination of a number of things. There's upgrade of the treatment plant. We've put some storage tanks in before we then do the irrigation field. So the irrigation field is all being designed. We've got the tank design underway at the moment, and during the design process we identified a small issue with stormwater, and so we're just dealing with that now, how we resolve that issue, and that'll all be built into the contract document.
Okay. So it'll be in the new year?
Part of not the irrigation, because we've got to do the other stuff first.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Through the chair.
Councillor Williamson.
With respect to the decision on Maori representation scheduled for 31st today, isn't November the 23rd, the decision for that?
Where are we now?
So we were originally looking at it for today, but you remember the hui that we had, we were going to put it back a little bit because there's some more discussion that we need to have.
Councillor Park.
Yes, thank you. With the solid waste performance measure, and you're tracking to be approximately 280 tonnes less than the same 2016-17, does that have anything to do with the vermi composting?
I'd love to say yes, but probably not.
You've got to just follow that question up. So those further solid waste at the end of August, we haven't got September figures yet.
No, we haven't.
Right, okay. What else we got? What's next?
Democracy.
Democracy and planning. Mr. Fox.
Worship.
So democracy is my part of the deal here, Your Worship, and really, Mr. Councillor Williamson's already stolen my thunder with the discussion on page 181 about the representation review. But also, I guess, in terms of democracy, the by-election was a significant part of what's period under review, and Tina and the team have managed that admirably. And currently work across the organisation into the long-term planning processes, and our workshops coming up, so a fair bit of focus on that for everybody. And it's always nice to see that there's no significant variances to budget for democracy.
Good. Central Administration of Wellington, yeah. Significant difference down there. All right, any questions of Mr. Fox, democracy and planning? No. Okay, thank you, Brian. Bit off slightly. Investments, we've done that, haven't we? Yeah. Oh, Johnny. John, Rick.
Economic development.
Okay.
Yep. So a lot of these measures, as you know, are out of control, but we've still got a very healthy economy, as you can see from the figures on, if I could get the glasses right, 185. Questions?
Any questions of John?
No.
Done.
No, straightforward.
Back to that resolution.
Okay. Back to the resolution. You any final comments on the screen?
No.
No.
Fine,
Right, okay. All right, the information receives council performance report for the month of September. Could I have a move, please? Councillor Truman, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Jollins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against?